Story RH, the podcast that makes a long story short.
Welcome to all.
History is made of stories.
In this episode, we'll be talking about the quest for meaning at work and the role management and HR have to play in it.
While a certain number of voices have deplored the loss of meaning in the workplace, quite a few savvy marketers and salespeople have called on us to restore meaning and revive the magic at our companies. As if simply uttering these catchphrases will instill peace and harmony.
Right, like a band-aid you can plaster over the absurd to make everything clear. So, what role should human resources play? What can HR departments do to make work meaningful? What's the story?
Unfortunately, asking why and how again and again and exploring the object of our quest from every angle won't solve anything.
You can't rekindle a meaning that never existed any more than you can fill a void by covering a hole.
What we can do, however, is showcase a meaning people have lost sight of. It's not about creating meaning for something that doesn't have any. It's about finding the meaning and revealing it to others.
So, the first step is to make sure that what you're doing really is meaningful. This is one of the most important roles of a company's executives.
Management must set a heading. In other words, assign meaning to the work for the company as a whole.
But before you can tell others where to go, you have to know where you're going. That's the first step.
Employees will never understand how their contributions to the collective project are meaningful if the company project isn't perfectly clear.
And unfortunately, contradictory instructions, authoritarian rules or deliberate vagueness can make it hard to make out the company's destination and heading.
So, once the meaning has been defined, you have to talk about it. Explain it, raise awareness. That's the second step.
And this is one of HR's direct or indirect contributions, revealing and showcasing the meaning everyone is after to make it explicit. HR is responsible for explaining the company's heading and creating the conditions that make it possible for every employee to understand the mission they've been assigned.
To do that, HR must focus on 4 areas.
First, education and transparency. It's about giving employees the tools they need to understand the company's project and mission as well as the ways different roles within the company are interdependent.
Next, human resources must set collective and individual goals. Shared goals must be clear and transparent so they can be adapted to suit the role of each department, team, and individual. This is the strategic plan, roadmap and action plan, broken down into team goals and finally individual goals.
And all of these documents have to be consistent. That's the third focus for HR. You have to make sure that individual goals contribute to the collective project. The means deployed should line up perfectly with the company's strategy. It's also crucial to ensure HR policies are consistent among themselves to avoid contradictory instructions.
Last but not least, HR must work on empowerment. You have to provide each employee with the means to adapt their work to the reality they face and to focus their efforts on areas they feel will make the greatest contribution to the collective project, but that doesn't mean abandoning them. You have to provide the support they need.
While HR is responsible for creating the conditions for shared meaning to flourish, individuals are free to relay their efforts as spokespeople or ambassadors. They can share their passion for the meaning that drives the company's actions and serve as role models, making sure their behavior upholds the company project as a shared goal that brings all employees together.
That's right. This is an aspect of leadership which isn't the sole province of management. It's open to all. It's what Mintzberg calls communityship or shared leadership.
To recap, you can't give meaning to something meaningless, so the first step is to ensure that what you're doing is meaningful. Next, HR can help to reveal meaning by focusing on 4 areas. 1. Education and transparency. 2. Collective and individual goals. 3. Consistency. And 4. Empowerment. Is that right?
Exactly right. Way to make a long story short. Story RH, the podcast that makes a long story short.